Hello, buddy, and welcome back to Red Devils TV. Now, this is an update for Adrien Rabiot to Manchester United, which is a debatable player that should be joining Manchester United. But we've just on Red Devils TV, we talk about the latest news. So let's get right into it. So with Adrien Rabiot, it is an interesting deal. Now, we have been linked to him in the past, and as you know, Manchester United were linked to him in the summer of 2022 in Erik Ten Hag's debut season as manager. But with the United fans protesting and people on social media talking about how Adrien Rabiot's not good enough, United completely panicked and panic-buyed and bought Casemiro, which turned out to be a very lucky signing. And to me, Casemiro has probably been one of the most luckiest signings that you'll ever see in the Premier League, about how we weren't even linked to him. And within a week, Manchester United, bang, went and got the deal done with Casemiro. So anyway, what do we know about Adrien Rabiot? And let's talk about his position, and let's also talk about what his stats are and stuff. So Adrien Rabiot is a central midfielder who is also French and is primarily left-footed and currently plays for Juventus. Now, if you don't know much about Adrien Rabiot, he's a very, very physical type player, which is something United desperately need in their midfield. And second of all, Adrien Rabiot is very underrated, in my opinion. And for me, I honestly personally feel like if we got Rabiot at Manchester United, I think he's above Eriksen. I think he's above Sabitzer. I think he's above Fred, McTominay, everyone, pretty much. I think as a number 8, he's better than the majority of what we currently have. And I think the midfield would consist of Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, and Adrien Rabiot. And Adrien Rabiot is a player that Erik Ten Hag is crying out for. And that's why he's interesting. That's why Erik Ten Hag wants Rabiot. And people are like, oh, why do we want Rabiot? This is this. He's not good enough. He's not good enough to be a Manchester United player. Well, Marcel Sabitzer has just been announced today that he's out for the rest of the season. This is a lone player that's not even been at the club for 3 months. So what do you want to say about that? For me, I feel like it's quite ridiculous that United fans are actually questioning this transfer, because for me, I feel like, yes, it's not a Ferrari, it's not a priority signing, a nice shiny new toy, but it's like you get something off the Facebook Marketplace, something that you can use, but also you can, like, you're going to get value out of it at the same time, but you're getting it for a much cheaper price. Plus, Adrien Rabiot is out of contract in the summer, so he's going to be a free agent. So I really don't know why United fans are complaining. And with whoever the United new owners are going to be, if the Glazers stay in power, then free transfers are going to kind of be crucial to Manchester United's summer window, because, like, yes, you don't want to get team scraps. I understand that, but sometimes you can get decent players out of contract. I mean, look at Gini Wijnaldum, who went from Liverpool to PSG. Yes, it didn't work out, but still a very high valued player. Look at Harry Kane. He's already announced that he's not signing a new contract with Spurs. His contract is going to be out at the end of next season. So whoever picks him up is going to be getting a bargain price. Like, yes, free agents are always seen upon as players that aren't good enough for their clubs, but also as well is that maybe the player is too good for the club and they just draw out their contracts and see what offers they can get. I mean, look at Paul Pogba. He wanted a massive salary from any other club, and he wanted a bigger salary than what Manchester United were offering him. He didn't see the plan with Erik Ten Hag, so he wanted to leave. And Paul Pogba, if we sold him, we probably got about 30-40 million for him. So you can get high-valued players as free agents. And look at Angel Di Maria, left PSG to go to Juventus this season. Like what Dyer explained, that there are a lot of good players that you can get on free agents, and Adrien Rabiot for me is one of them players. Like I said, I think he's a lot better than what Manchester United currently have in our midfield options, and that is something Manchester United are crying out for, by the way. But something that I want everyone to talk about as well, and have a look in the comments down below, that obviously with Adrien Rabiot, obviously to Man United, my thoughts and takes on it is that it's not replacing Fred, McTominay, Sabitzer. Think of Donny van de Beek. Donny van de Beek doesn't get a minute for Manchester United, and obviously he's out for the rest of the season. And even before Erik Ten Hag joined Manchester United, Donny van de Beek struggled to get game time for Manchester United. So if you've got a player like Adrien Rabiot, who's pretty much a guaranteed starter, in my opinion, I'm not saying he's a Frankie de Jong, a Jude Bellingham type level of player, but neither was Park for Man United either. I mean, Joyson Park was one of the greatest and most underrated players probably had at Manchester United. And sometimes Manchester United need them workhorses. I mean, as well, obviously, I'll just read the chat right now. Let's have a look. A horrible claim, controlling individual. I don't know what you mean by that, but let's have a look. Take what you can, get it if it's worth it. Let's have a look as well. Most definitely, it can happen. It's happened consistently in the Premier League, and with Manchester United, I personally feel like with Adrian Rabiot, like he fits perfectly into Erik Ten Hag's system. And you might be thinking, what is this guy on about? But first of all, what the Manchester United need in midfield? A physical player, a physical box-to-box player, which is exactly what Adrian Rabiot is. Second of all, he's left-footed. Our only left-footed midfielder in our team is Fred, who's very inconsistent. Sometimes he plays like he's Brazilian, like a Ronaldinho, or a Pele or a Neymar, like he has world-class performances, and then another day he's from Stoke, like Jim from the Chipper. Like that's exactly that's what Fred is. He's the most inconsistent footballer I've ever seen in a Manchester United shirt. So for me, like Adrian Rabiot, whether you think he's bad or not, I personally feel like with Adrian Rabiot, he's a good enough player and actually an upgrade on what we currently have. And then you can probably say in maybe 2 or 3 seasons' time, or maybe even in a season's time, after a season of Adrian Rabiot, we might be looking at the next big thing, who wants to come to Manchester United. And then Adrian Rabiot becomes a bench player. And it's gradual progression. We can't just go out and sign Frankie de Jong, Jude Bellingham, Barella, all these brilliant midfielders. We can't expect him to see, to want Manchester United. So for me, I feel like a gradual progression gets better and better and better. Plus, Adrian Rabiot is always in the national team for France. He went into a World Cup final with France in the Qatar World Cup and was probably one of their best players in the midfield, in my opinion. And second of all, and third of all, with Adrian Rabiot, I honestly think he's very underrated. And plus, don't forget, he's got Champions League football. And it's not like he's just some random player we're getting from a relegation side in La Liga. We're getting them from Juventus. Now, whether you think Juventus are a good team or not anymore, they're in the semi-finals of the Europa League. If it wasn't for their points deduction in Serie A, they'd probably be in the top 4. And if you think, okay, that's a bad example for this season, okay, then why was he at PSG then during their rebuild stage? He left PSG for Juventus because Juventus offered him more money. Now, this might be my only issue with Adrian Rabiot, that he seems to always leave the club for money. And for me, that's frustrating because I don't want it to be where Adrian Rabiot becomes a world-class player, let's say, for Manchester United, where he plays consistent good football for about 7, 8 out of 10s per game. And he always plays solid performances. And then let's say he only signed a 3-year deal with Manchester United. It gets to a 2 season. He goes, right, okay, Newcastle, who have just won the Premier League, have offered me £500,000 a week. I'm going to go there. See you later. Now that would be obviously unfortunate, but that's unfortunate not just for Rabiot, for any player. If any player did that to Manchester United, you don't want your player leaving for more money. I mean, and this is kind of my only issue with him. And his mother, who is his agent, Adrian Rabiot's mother is his agent, is an absolute cow. Like, she is frustrating. She milks teams dry and gets every single penny possible for Adrian Rabiot and to get his signature at the club, which is respectful. It's kind of like how, not Rafa, who was Paul Pogba's agent, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic's agent called? Not, what's he called now? The guy who died. Not Rafa Benitez. What's he called? Mino Raiola. That was it. Mino Raiola. Like, he was seen as a super agent that would get the most money for his players. And Adrian Rabiot is doing that for Adrian Rabiot's agent, or his mum, is doing that for her client, which is, you've got to respect, because obviously they're still an employee that wants to get paid more and more money. And if you want that promotion, then you're going to want to try and get as much money as possible. But anyway, Adrian Rabiot, I want to see it in the comments right now. Would you take him to Manchester United? Yes or no? Now, obviously, whether you're a non-United fan, whether you are a United fan, what do you think of Adrian Rabiot? Do you not know much about him? Do you know much? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm just going to quickly get up his stats here on my phone. And let's have a look. Rabiot's stats for the season. Rabiot's stats. There we go. So this season alone, in the Serie A, he has played 29 matches. He has got 8 goals and 3 assists. In the Europa League, he's played 7 games and got 1 goal and 1 assist. So currently, he's got 9 goals and 4 assists in all competitions this season. The Coppa Italia, he's got 0 goals. And the Champions League as well, he's also got 2 goals from. Because don't forget, Juventus were in the Champions League earlier this season. So that's how many goals is that? So that is 11 goals and 4 assists this season, which I believe is more goals than Eriksen, more goals than Fred, more goals than Sabitzer, and more goals than McTominay. Pretty much, apart from Bruno Fernandes, every single player in our midfield that Adrian Rabiot would replace, he's got more goals than. Now, yes, I wouldn't say that Rabiot is as a creative player. He's one of them players that likes to dart into the opposition's box and go forward and try and score almost. But that's what you want from a box-to-box player. And Bruno Fernandes then would go back to doing all the playmaking work, because I feel like despite Manchester United having been very good on the ball, being very good in possession with Eriksen and Bruno, I do feel like having that lacking that physical midfielder like allows Casemiro to do all the defensive work. And that's probably why we're seeing poor performances from Casemiro at the moment. So for me, I feel like with a player with like Rob, who is physical, Casemiro won't back out of a challenge. I feel like this will be a decent upgrade for Manchester United, but this is just my opinion. Now, let me know what you think on Adrian Rabiot. Sam Davis has said, in light of this information, I'm on the fence. How old is he? Let me double check that. I think he's about 25, but let me double check. Adrian Rabiot age. A quick look. Adrian Rabiot age. He's currently 28, and he turned 28 a month ago. So recently 28 years old. So I mean, so it's not like age is just a number. And I personally feel like as well, with these numbers, like, yes, obviously you want players, you want to be getting these players early, you want to be getting them young, like 21 to 23 years old, just before they become world-class stars. But for me, I feel like this is something Manchester United actually lack, because youth development-wise, yes, we're okay, but at the end of the day as well, we've seen many players who have had great careers in the Premier League who get better and better as they get older. The first one that comes off the top of my head is Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne's, 32? And he's still probably one of the greatest midfielders, probably, if not the best midfielder in the Premier League right now. Like, yes, you might be saying you can't get Kevin De Bruyne to Rabiot. I can, because, and I'm going to, because age is just a number in the Premier League, in my opinion. You look at Riyad Mahrez. You look at, I don't know, Bobby Firmino. You look at Casemiro. Like, these players who are above 30 that have had decent careers in the Premier League. Like, yes, like Casemiro might be a bad example because it's his first season, but he's being compared and he's in the Premier League team of the season for the best holding midfielder in the league. So he must be doing something right. And his age isn't deflected on, in my opinion. So with Adrian Rabiot, I feel like go for him definitely is a must. He's a free transfer, he's left-footed, he's physical, and he's an upgrade. They're the 4 key factors for me for Adrian Rabiot and why Manchester United should sign him. Well, anyway, we'll talk about some more news, which we've received today. And if you are new to the channel, or if you haven't already, remember to like the stream. Obviously, it really helps with the algorithm and everything. And subscribe if you're new. Join the family. We do daily content now and try to do more live streams to build a bigger and better community. So, second player of the day, Kim Min Jae deal done. We've had reports today that, and over the last few days as well, maybe over the last week, let's say, that'd be a bit more better time frame to explain as. Kim Min Jae is a brilliant centre half. Now, if you don't know much about him, Kim Min Jae currently plays for Napoli, who have recently just won the Serie A. And with Kim Min Jae, he's, for me, a wall. He's a brick wall who is brilliant, and for me, goes straight into Manchester United's first team. The reports are talking that Manchester United are offering 13 million more than his release clause, which is an estimate of 40 million, which is what his release clause is. So that means Manchester United should be offering anywhere between 50 to 55 million for this Kim Min Jae. Now, his release clause, I believe, in the summer for 2 weeks, and that's from the first week of July to the second week of July. So for me, I personally feel like with Kim Min Jae, that's a bargain. I personally rate him already as about 50, 60 million. So I feel like if you can get him for 40 million, that's an absolute bargain. And that's pretty much the same price we paid for Raphael Varane, who I think Kim Min Jae replaces. Because for me, despite Varane being the Rolls Royce, the brick wall, whatever you want to describe him as, he's very inconsistent when it comes to his fitness. He's been out, since he's been at Manchester United over the last 2 seasons, I believe he's had several injuries, whether he's out for a long period or a short period. Does worry you with injuries, and it does seem as well that he can't play for a full 90 minutes, especially with recent times. And especially during the World Cup, he looked absolutely knackered during the World Cup. So for me, I feel like Varane's stamina isn't the best, and I feel like getting a player who's equally as good as Varane, in my opinion, I feel like he'd bring a lot to Manchester United. And if you want to know more about Kim Min Jae, he's South Korean. Obviously, nationality doesn't mean a lot, but for me, he's one of them players that stands out. It reminds me of Heung-min Son almost. He's a perfect one. Like, you think of a South Korean type player, and you think, oh, what can they bring? And only the 1% of them players get out on goal to will be to look at Ji-sung Park for Man United, Kim Min Jae for Napoli, Heung-min Son for South Korea, for Tottenham Hotspur. So, like, look at Mo Salah. He's another example. Egypt, right? That is graced a brilliant player. So for me, I feel like it's kind of good that you actually have these kind of players that are under the radar. The nationalities are not very well known when it comes to football, and they don't have these many world-class stars. I mean, Mahrez, another player for is it Algeria? Mahrez's nationality. So for me, I feel like that Manchester United need a defender, because I think when the going gets tough, Manchester United do struggle when it comes to defensive work. And yes, our defence has been brilliant at Old Trafford this season, but our away form is bad. And I feel like that Kim Min Jae would like slot straight into Manchester United's first team and make the difference, honestly. So whatever you think of Kim Min Jae, let me know in the comments down below. I feel like the way that he is aggressive in his interceptions, the way that he'll go for any ball, is kind of like the South Korean Martinez. And I feel like with both of them, they would complement each other very well. Because Kim Min Jae is also, I think, 6'2", so he's quite a tall centre back. He has a bullet type of header. He's not like Harry Maguire, who's got a 50p head. With Kim Min Jae, he's got like a quid head, let's say, where he just absolutely full on powerhouse and can clear a ball with his head. And he's very good on the ball, which is something that Erik Ten Hag really needs. And he's quick as well. He's quick and physical, which is something United need. So I feel like with Kim Min Jae, he's the perfect signing for Manchester United. And I personally feel like with Kim Min Jae and Martinez, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but I would say that's probably one of the best partnerships of the centre-halves in the league. I'd say it's up there with Ruben Diaz and John Stones. I'd say it's up there with Saliba and Gabriel. Van Dijk doesn't really have a partner because Matip isn't the best in my opinion, or Joe Gomez. You could say maybe Sven Botman and Shah for Newcastle. So for me, I feel like that with Kim Min Jae and Martinez, their partnership would be very, very good in my opinion. Simon Davis saying here, Yeah, a defender needs to be able to take a knock. Exactly. Like, you don't really want a Bruno Fernandes type as a centre half, do you, who gets literally like a fly will land on his face and he goes down like he's been shot. Like, but we love Bruno. We don't have agenda against Bruno on this channel. Nick, I bring it back to me. Sorry, something came up. Good stream, pal. Thank you, pal. Thank you for tuning in. And Simon as well, saying that your defence has been better since Erik Ten Hag, but in my opinion, I wouldn't go as far to say as good. But fresh legs are a. I agree. I feel like that, especially in football and life as well, there's always room for improvement. And I feel like Min Jae is an upgrade on the likes of Rafael Varane, Victor Lindelof, and certainly Harry Maguire. And I feel like with Martinez and Min Jae, United would have a very solid back two as the centre half partnerships. And just linked to this morning, and they actually play. Some fans might like him, some might not. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Diogo Costa and David Raya. Now, these two goalkeepers are pretty much the front runners and the favourite goalkeepers to replace David De Gea for the long term. Now, Diogo Costa, for me, is probably the goalkeeper I'd go for, but David Raya has got Premier League experience, very good on the ball, but I feel like David Raya's shot-stopping ability is quite questionable. I do think that he does have a mistake in him. Same with Diogo Costa. I'm not going to say like I worship Diogo Costa and I know every single thing about him. But what I do know is that he comes off his line for crosses. He's very aware. His reflexes are really good. His handling is really good. His diving ability is very good. And I think I've already said his distribution, but his distribution is also really, really good. So them traits in a goalkeeper is what Erik Ten Hag is crying out for right now. So for me, Diogo Costa is probably the favourite to sign. But with him recently signing a new contract for Porto, I personally feel like that he is going to cost a lot of money, whether it's around 50 to 60 million pounds. And for me, this is where my issue is with the goalkeeping situation. That Manchester United, if we're going to go for Harry Kane, Min Jae, then that's already probably what, 120 to about 150 million spent. Like, it's a lot of money on two players. Like, Harry Kane's probably going to cost anything between, I don't even know. He's probably going to cost around 80 to 100 million from Spurs, even though he's got 1 year left in his deal. So for me, I personally feel like with Harry Kane and Min Jae, trying to get him for as cheap as possible is the most important thing. So anyway, Diogo Costa or David Raya, who would rather in midfield? For me, I personally feel like that with them both, they are very, very good, and you can't deny that. But as well, I like David De Gea, and I do feel David De Gea is a good enough goalkeeper for Manchester United to keep. So whatever happens with David De Gea, I do hope he stays, whether he becomes the number 2 goalkeeper or he does challenge the new goalkeeper for that first team spot. But then what's the point? Like, let's say, for example, here's a perfect example. We signed David Raya or Diogo Costa, so that's 40 to 60 million down the drain on a new goalkeeper. But we also signed David De Gea on a new contract. So what happens? Either one of two things. David De Gea becomes the number 1, as he already is, and then makes a mistake, and the new goalkeeper comes in and performs brilliantly, and David De Gea leaves Manchester United. Or 2, David De Gea likes this competition, recognises the competition, and goes back to Prem Ponytail David De Gea, who is absolutely brilliant, could probably save the Titanic, and just make save after save after save. And then you've got the new goalkeeper who we spent 40 to 60 million pounds on the bench, being wasted away, and they're there thinking, why the hell did I come here? That's the worst case scenario. So I would happily get Diogo Costa or David Raya if David De Gea leaves. But with the talks that David De Gea is signing a new contract, with the talks that David De Gea wants to keep his first team spot, and with talks that Erik Ten Hag wants to keep David De Gea, I personally feel like going for a new goalkeeper is the wrong transfer for Manchester United this summer. I feel like we need to focus on the outfield positions, the midfield, the forwards, the defence, and then maybe the season after, if people still want David De Gea to leave and David De Gea says, look, I want to leave now, then that's when you part ways. But I personally feel like we can still get a very good season out of David De Gea next season. I mean, for God's sake, he's got the clean sheet record for this season. He's going to get the Golden Glove. So he must be doing something right, whether you think that the defence is world class or not. David De Gea has saved us numerous times this season. I think back to the Leicester game. I think back to the Barcelona game. Many games this season where Manchester United have needed David De Gea. And I feel like whether it's Dean Henderson, Jack Butland, Dubravka, whoever we had as our goalkeeper, I personally feel like they don't make them saves like David De Gea does, because David De Gea can make these weird world-class saves that are crucial that many goalkeepers can make, and that's what makes him stand out. But just because he can't kick a football properly, and just because he doesn't come off his line for crosses because he's a more safe and prefers to stay on his line type goalkeeper, people overlook that and say that he's a bad goalkeeper when he's not. Because I can guarantee you, if David De Gea was a free transfer, I can guarantee that PSG, Barcelona, maybe Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, so many teams that are world class will come in for David De Gea, and I can guarantee it. And when people are saying stuff like, oh, let's sign Marcel Sabitzer, a Bayern Munich scrap who can't get into the team, let's Manchester United sign him, that'll improve him. But then our number one goalkeeper that no one wants decides to go to them for the same type of clubs. I can guarantee that if we let David De Gea go this summer, we will come to regret it, and I will say that with chest. But anyway, that's been today's show. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. I really appreciate it. So everyone, thank you for watching. I really appreciate everyone that's tuned in, and thank you everyone for your comments. And anyway, if you're new to the channel, please remember to like the stream. And if you're new to the channel, remember to leave a subscription. We're close to 700 subscribers. I think right now we're on 660 subscribers. It might have gone up, it might have gone down. I don't know. But 160, no, sorry, not 160, 660 subscribers. Please, everyone, subscribe if you're new. Share this video with your friends. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon. So anyway, thank you for watching, and remember to leave your suggestions for the next video in the comments down below. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.